Go, Matthew.
Okay. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Angular 2. So as some of you may know, we are using Angular for most of our front-end part of the project. I started. I had like some time free, and I decided I wanted to study something, and I went for Angular 2. The first thing when I went to it is that they recommend to start with Typescript because it's like a more orderly, organized, way to do this. So yeah, I started with TypeScript, and let's have a quick overview of TypeScript. So TypeScript is it's a superset of JavaScript and allows you to program in object-oriented fashion, having still all the functionality from JavaScript. So as you see, it's typed, so you can have all the like primitives, string, number, boolean, arrays, enumerators for you, for those of you that are familiar with Java, or yeah, and you can have classes and objects of classes. Okay. So as in an object-oriented programming language, you have classes, and you can extend from other classes and create objects and override functions and things like that. You also have interfaces, all that implies. Okay, so now that we at least have a context of TypeScript, let's go a little bit more into JavaScript. So for those of you that know Java Angular 1, there are some changes. The controllers are now components, services are now just injectable classes. Filters are now types classes. And the syntax, as you will see, changed a lot. So there we have a component. As you can see, it has like a decorator. That's the add component, and it's similar to what annotation is in Java. And yeah, so you declare some of the properties of that component, like the tag that is going to use in the HTML. That is, in this case, is read. The styles, you can have a separate style for each view. You can have it both inline or to an external file. The same with the templates. And now providers and directive are a bit different from Angular 1. You now have to specify which are providers, which provider services are more like injectables you will use in this class, and which directive you are going to use both in the class and in the view. So injectables is it's not only for service, but it is what we are going to use for services. And it's just another decorator and a class, and it just tells Angular that you can inject that into other components of the application on other directives or on other injectables. Directive is just similar to components, but it's meant to only be functionality added to like one tag or one one tag or one section of the HTML. And types is what filter used to be. You again it's the same. Type is a decorator, and you have the name of the type. That is how you are going to use it on the view. That's how you use it on the view. Like everything and the pipe and the new, of course, there is a lot more things than just this, but this is like I first saw, and the things that I just have studied. So let me show you like a little demo so you can see the layout. Okay, so. Yeah, we have here. So it's very simple, and I just want to make some emphasis on the lazy load. So let's clear this. So let's reload. You see it loads like the important bits of the application, like the main bits. And then whenever I go to another view, it will load like all the dependencies needed to load that view and that component and therefore that class. So you see here we load the HTML for this section and the component. For example, here heroes depends also on a service, and it will inject both the hero service and the hero list and the hero list component. And well, the same with this. Just as Angular used to, you have like bindings and stuff like that. It has a lot of directives like built in, and well, it's quite big. This is just like to show what is coming and the new syntaxes. So okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have some questions.
So that's okay. I'll just speak loud. So let's say I'm in the browser and there's an error or a bug in my application. When I debug it, is it JavaScript or is it TypeScript?
Okay, so TypeScript actually compiles into JavaScript. So, for example, this component here, it's well pretty easy, but it will change or compile to this thing here. Okay, so yeah, if you were to debug this, it would be almost impossible. But no, it actually also generates a map, and the map you will be able to debug the map, the TypeScript, not the JavaScript. So, for example, whenever I go to, I don't know, hero detail, so you see it loads. You can disable this in production, so you don't have like double load the file. But here in development is very useful. So, for example, let's stop it here. We'll stop on the TypeScript, not on the JavaScript.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
So one of the things that was that some people criticized about Angular 1 is that you can disable easily at least two-way data binding. Is there a way I can just choose one-way data binding or two-way data binding?
Well, in the templates, Those are the HTML. It will only one way data bindings. And I know that for models and stuff like that, the things that you only said, you can do one time binding and that's it. But I don't have an example for that right now. But yeah, so for example, this kind of binding is one-way binding. But I know what you mean, and I think it can be done, but I don't have an example for that.
Do you try to use Angular 2 without using Typescript?
Angular, oh, okay.
You're playing JavaScript?
Yeah, no, I don't even bother because although you can, they immediately say like, TypeScript is better. We are going to use TypeScript, and in fact, Angular 2 is developed in TypeScript.
It would be like you will have to write more code or something like that.
Yeah, it's more code and it's messier. Any other questions? Sure.
When you explain us that now it's going to be like a type kind of programming, because you can define string, numbers.
Yeah, type it. Yeah.
Yes. When you assign a different type to another, how TypeScript complain?
Oh yeah. Well, it depends on the editor you are using. But for example, if I try to, I don't know, say if you say, see here, I declare selected hero here, and it's type hero, and if you were to input that, it will throw an error. And when you compile, the compile will say like, hey, you are trying to do something that you shouldn't be doing.
That detect because it's your editor that detect there.
No, the compile when you compile, look. When you compile, it will say, you saw that? It's a compiler error. And if you try to compile it here, it will throw errors. I can, you see?
Okay.
Okay, any, that answer your question? Yeah. Any other questions? No?
I have one.
Okay.
You explained something about the lazy loading.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know there is a way to have the lazy loading with a single minified JS file? They have a workaround or something like that, or?
I haven't go that deep into it, but I would say you have to have. You can have minified files, of course, but I think you will need to have separately like files, because that's the whole point, to not load all the application at once on the first load, but just load the bits you need and keep it in memory. In fact, so for example, here network. Let me go. So the first time it will load, yeah, but the next time I come back to about, it won't load because it's already loaded. So, yeah.
The minify things in Angular 2 doesn't make sense in this case, because you try to separate the different components in different files.
Yeah, you can minify each file all by himself. I'm guessing, maybe there is another way, but I'm guessing you have to minify each file in his own
Yeah,
not concatenate all.
But I think that wouldn't really make sense, because you still have to make requests to the server. That's the thing you're trying to avoid when you're minifying. So just crunching it into something as small as possible, and yeah, just
Yeah, I understand you, but if you join all the things together, then the lazy loading.
Yeah, I guess you won't be able to do that. Any other questions? Comments, suggestions, or whatever. Yeah.
In Angular 1, well, I know that we have controllers and the services. The service is connected with the backend. And when we make a request, the way is the view, the controller, and the controller calls the service.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the
just
same.
only change the
names.
names and
the way to inject it to each component.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's still the same. You have a component that will control your current view. Then that controller or component here will call a service, and the service will handle that HTTP request.
Where exactly lies the mapping of all of the controllers so they can interact with each other?
Oh, okay, so yeah, let me show you. Oh, sorry. So I think okay. So there is a provider for Angular that is called road config, and there you will config all your roads, unless you have nested roads. In that case, you will configure it in like the next component. Yeah, and it is actually pretty simple. If you want like normal, like traditional way of load things, you will use this. Yeah, and that one lazy load components. Okay, and if you want to lazy load components, you need this other component of Angular that is async roads. And it's pretty much the same. You just have a parameter that's loaded, and there you have to return a promise when the result is the component itself. You can see here the implementation to do that. System is just a module loader from system.js, and it's just import component from this path name wherever you name it. Is that it? Yeah. Anyone else does have a question? Okay, I think that's it then. Thank you.